Hello, and welcome to another episode of the U.S. Treasury Department series on reporting for the State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund Program, or the SLFRF program, which is part of the American Rescue Plan. My name is Chris, and I'm with the Treasury Department's Office of Recovery Programs, and in this video, I will go over the different reporting tiers that recipients may fall into under the SLFRF program, and what each tier means in terms of your reporting requirements, and how to find your jurisdiction's reporting tier. So let's jump in. All right, before we get into the specifics of each tier, let's cover the basics. All recipients in the SLFRF program are assigned a reporting tier from 1 to 6 based on your jurisdiction's type, population, and amount of total SLFRF award. The table on the right side illustrates this tiering, and you can see from the top of each row the three main types of reports collected in the program. This includes the interim report, the project and expenditure report, and the recovery plan performance report. The corresponding row for each reporting tier highlights how the reporting requirements may be different for each of these reports. The table that you're seeing here is pulled right out of the compliance and reporting guidance. And if you haven't already, I would highly encourage you to first go take a look at the guidance and review it to get even more understanding of the resources and the responsibilities that are part of the program. So you can view more about this guidance by going to www.treasury.gov/SLFRP reporting. Jumping into the specific tiers, we can look at Tier 1 recipients, which are states, U.S. territories, metropolitan cities and counties with a population more than 250,000 residents. For these recipients in Tier 1, the project and expenditure reports are required on a quarterly basis, and they are required to submit annually a recovery plan performance report. And the due dates for each report are outlined here in the table. Moving on to Tier 2, recipients in Tier 2, which are metropolitan cities and counties with a population below 250,000 and who receive more than 10 million in SLFRF funding, are required to submit a project and expenditure report quarterly, but are not required to submit a recovery plan performance report. Moving on next to Tier 3, where we start breaking out tribal governments. Tier 3 is for tribal governments which receive more than $30 million in SLFRF funding, and is totally not based on population counts at all, just based on whether or not the tribe is above $30 million in funding. Recipients in Tier 3 are required to submit a project and expenditure report quarterly, again, starting in the next available reporting cycle, which is January 31st, 2022. But similar to Tier 2, are not required to submit a recovery plan performance report. Next, looking at Tier 4, these are tribal governments which received less than 30 million in SLFRF funding. Similar to Tier 3, no consideration on population for these jurisdictions. It's just about the $30 million threshold. Recipients in Tier 4 are required to submit a project and expenditure report annually, and the next required due date for the annual cycle is April 30th, 2022. And again, Tier 4 recipients are not required to submit a recovery plan performance report. Further down, we're getting to Tier 5 recipients. And now we're back to metropolitan cities and counties. In this case, Tier 5 is metropolitan cities and counties with a population below 250,000 and who received less than 10 million in SLFRF funding. Recipients in Tier 5 are required to submit project and expenditure reports annually starting April 30th, 2022, and are not required to submit recovery plan performance reports. And lastly, we have Tier 6 recipients who are non-entitlement units of government. If you're a non-entitlement unit of government, you have worked with your state on determining your status, and Treasury has already started reaching out to many of these NEUs to make clear that they are part of this NEU population. But if you are an NEU or a non-entitlement unit of government, you are required to submit a project and expenditure report annually, again starting in April 30th, 2022. And again, NEUs and Tier 6 recipients are not required to submit a recovery plan performance report. Now, I know that was all a little confusing. You may be asking, well, how do I find out what recipient tier I actually fall into? Well, there's several ways to do that. Treasury is providing up to 3 different ways to find your jurisdiction's reporting tier. And I'll go through each one of these here on the list. Now, the first way to view your reporting tier is to visit the Treasury website and going to the reporting page for SLFRF. The web address is www.treasury.gov/SLFRP reporting. And you'll be sent to this page that will include the reporting guidance, user guide, and additionally, we've provided a link here, if you can look at my cursor, to an Excel spreadsheet that can be downloaded, which will provide a list of each recipient's name and corresponding reporting tier. This includes the reporting tiers for all non-tribal recipients, as you can see from the file opened here. You can search or sort your name to find your appropriate tier. The other option is to log into the Treasury reporting portal and visit your recipient profile. You will be able to see your recipient profile by viewing the screen, the first screen in your project and expenditure report. And you'll see, similar to the red box identified here, an area where your reporting tier is identified. Last but not least, the more direct way in which your reporting tier was provided was through the email that was sent to your jurisdiction, possibly directly to the authorized representative or the POC for reporting, that notified you of the release of the project and expenditure report, and included in the body of the email here the reporting tier for your specific jurisdiction. So those are the 3 ways in which you would have been able to find your reporting tier info. I encourage you, if you have not been able to find your reporting tier information from any of these sources, to contact us at the slfrp@treasury.gov email address. We'll be sure to reach out to you with your reporting information as soon as possible. So that concludes this video on how to find a reporting tier and what the reporting tiers mean.